Welcome, everyone. I'm Pascal Tremblay, and I'm the founding board member of the CPA. And I live in Caslo. People are coming in still. I'm just going to wait for my little introduction there. If you're on Zoom right now, let us know where you're from in the chat. Let's see where you're from in Canada or other countries. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I am in Caslo, BC right now, and it's really, really, really hot. And so I am sweating it a little bit, but I'm really excited to be hosting today and having some good times and having some good conversations around music and psychedelics. And oh, hi, Brianna. And also having some beautiful music from our beautiful guests. So I'm Pascal Tremblay. I'm a founding board member of the CPA. And I live in Caslo, BC, surrounded by beautiful mountains and forests. And it's great to be here with all of you to share some beautiful music with the community and some time to reflect on and appreciate our relationship to forests all around the world. Thanks so much for showing up and supporting the Amazon and the Shipibo-Konibo people. And the money raised today is going to make a big difference for them. And we're going to be buying up hundreds of acres of rainforest and protecting them forever via the Rainforest Trust. So I really love this organization. What they do is they identify forests that are in need of protection, and they straight up just raise money for them and just buy them up so that no one else can ever touch them again. So that's really direct action, and that's why we're supporting them as well today with the Shipibo-Konibo people. And thanks a lot to our wonderful artists. I'm incredibly grateful for all of your presence today and your generosity in sharing your songs and spirit with us. And special thanks to Stream of Consciousness, who's helping us produce this event today. If you need any live or recorded event support or anything with streaming music or webinars or production of video, they're really awesome. So check them out at streamofconsciousness.ca. I also will say thanks to the CPA team, Lauren, Deanna, Corey, and our community, which we love and appreciate so much. Thank you so much for your support. And a special shout out to our friend Cosmic T, who had the little opening music there when you joined. He's an awesome conscious rapper from the Kootenays. And I've been listening to his album pretty much nonstop in the last few months, so check him out on Spotify. And I'd like to begin today by acknowledging the Indigenous people of all the lands that we're on today. From coast to coast, we acknowledge the ancestral and unceded territory of all the Inuit, Métis, and First Nations people that call this land home. I also want to acknowledge that the work of reconciliation with Indigenous nations in Canada has a long road ahead, and that everyone at the Psychedelics Association is ready to do its part in our own lives and in our own work. And we also want to acknowledge and send our gratitude to land defenders across the world that are working to protect our water, air, and lands in the Amazon, in Fairy Creek, right here in BC, and all over the world. There's lots of people out there that are putting literally their lives on the line so that we can all breathe really clean air and drink really clean water. So major respect to all of them. A few months ago, I did a planned dieta and I got a strong suggestion to help support the Amazon and give back to it. So along with my love for music and its healing powers, this event was born. The Amazon is the heartbeat of the planet, and she needs all of our support right now to help the rainforest thrive and the local communities as well, helping all of us and future generations all at once. The Amazon supports us all every day in ways that we can't always perceive. There was someone recently who said, we don't need to save the Amazon is trying to save us. And in the medicine space specifically, we're being taught to live in sacred reciprocity with the traditions and the people that have given us so much through their teachings and medicines. We hold so much gratitude for all the medicine and wisdom holders teaching us a new way of being in kinship with the earth, ourselves, and each other. Speaking of elders, our first guest today is Manuela Shipibo-Konibo from the Shipibo-Konibo community in Peru. She comes from a really long lineage of respected healers and has been working with ayahuasca for 60 years now. She's basically ayahuasca at this point. And she's been sharing her healing gifts to her community down there and people that go to her community as well, and opening it up to the rest of the world. So we're really proud to be supporting her work with this concert tonight and to help fund important projects benefiting her community and her healing work as well. So we're really incredibly grateful and humble to have a special message and sacred Icaro that Manuela has recorded just for us today. So Jason, if you can play that video for us.
đi kia nó có hai nữa đi kia hạt con rật nó có hai nữa có đi kia nó tụi mày bịa ti bên nia bên bịa con rật nó có hai nữa ti aru ni ti askarari nó có xin hạt con nó có xin ra mía mà nó có xin bên ti bịa bên nó có xin ra rồi betul betul Kucing tu kaya mak, noi mesti sinai ya, kai pun sinai atau akin sinai. Sekarang akar sama bikin. Sama tegnya. Noi depois primeiro masuk ke, mawak kan so, masuk ayo mak, sama tegnya. 4 mes. Aqui de minha arriba aqui. Ayam temuat yang ada baik, menu produce tu kita ke ngakai, sudah di baik. Ayam sudah ini sama tak 8 mes. Ayam pun sudah ini. Iki, noi orang sudah. Noi orang sudah sama aku. Kau mana noi orang hati binut. Aku nut iki noi orang, aku nut, ani nut, ucap nut. Hau mường sama tega ti bi hau ki ona naik no ko sama raga ani nut puru hu no yero wana yen ko sama nut kakak ning kakak we aku sinang ka we ko sinang ka Dios akin sinang ka aku sinang ka rami sinai maka aku sekali sini ruang sote ke sinang ka Raro sinang kau, noi mesti sinang kau, raro bang sinang ti kau, kai bang sinang ikau, askar, matto yui, memang ojo sons, askar hau kiti. Bani sama raro sama ni itiak, bani sama ni kai bubut nana noi nanti akan wa, askar rik, nung askar rik, nung kai bubut noi nanti. Kubaba buta nuya na hasta na to kubaba bin binuy ka na to sonta gurabu ya ka tabi nuy ka habon nuy habon bi akini kopi haskar ron hati akin wa arskin ko hoy an mato yiki ma hatirski kena maya pade gana bawa ane mere kamar ya kaita mere koi bawa rongi bawa pai dan gana bawa ane nete kana ye nete kana ya aja mangaya kano mayonta kano bigo ni rawa I aro ni rawa I kano bawa vanangai bo arovanangai bo agano wewa somebody manu te alom blandi te alom blandi te ilominaya tới lo mi na ga na ta cha ma ma ya ta ne ga na ma ya ta ne ga no be wa ba ro ni ra be wa no pi ko ni ani na te pi ko ni ro na te pi ko ni tô đi cô yo ya cô tô đi cô yo ya cô tô đi cô yo ya nè ta ya ma ta cả nó ma yo ta nè ro ni ra bơ ba i ca nó bơ ba nè tư ca nó yang nè nè tư ca nó yang nè tư ca nó ya ca nó mai bơ ba ba ca nó mai bơ ba ba nè ra bơ ba i ro nè ra bơ ba i ca nó bơ ba ba nè tư ca nó ya nì vơ nè tư ca nó ya nì vơ nè tư ca nó ya ra ya ma ya pi no ra ya ma ya di ra ra ya ma ya ra ya ni wa ra ya ma ta dai ra ya ma ta dai do ni bi mai bơ ba ba ca no mai bơ ba ba ro ni ra bơ ba i ca no bơ ba ba tu đi cô yo yo ni vơ to đi cô yo yo ni vơ ro yo ni vơ ro yo sai to ne bi ma ta dai to ne bi ca no ki ra ta na ca no mai bơ ba ba ro ni ra bơ ba ro ba di ba no ro yo ba di ba no ca no bơ ba ba ra ma ca no bơ ba ba ni ra bơ ba ni vơ ca no go yo yo ni vơ ca no yo yo chama di bi ra ca no yo ni ka sa di bi di ki ca no mai bơ ba ba ca no mai bơ ba ba ni ra bơ ba ro ni ra bơ ba ca no bơ ba ra ma ca no bơ ba ba rom ba di ba no ro yo ba di ba no ca no bơ ba ba chỉ cái ba ni ya nữ tư go ba ni ya nữ tư go ba ni na ron ta mơ ya cô na ron ta mơ ya ni vơ bi đơ ba ni ya ni vơ bi đơ ba ni sama di đi ra ca no mai yon ta no sama mi ya ro ba ca nữ tư cha ma pico ya ba no sama ma to pico i ra bơ ba i ca no bơ ba ba va non kai ro va non kai ca no bơ ba ba
Oh, beautiful. It's a real honor to be shared Icaro just for us today. And Manuela was one of us not keen on doing a live Icaro because I think she put so much of herself in there, and so the video is very well appreciated. You can learn more about her family at jaconrate.org. I think Diana can put the link in the chat as well to learn more about her work and her family as well. She comes from a long lineage of healers. Her father was a well-respected healer called Pascal, and her sister is a doula as well, and they help a lot of women in their communities with all sorts of different things, and they're building new infrastructure for their healing work. And so part of the money that we're raising tonight, we raised thousands of dollars tonight, by the way, thank you so much, is going to go to their community. And we're also going to be auctioning some of the art from the Shipibo people on Facebook and through our newsletter potentially. So stay tuned for that. We have 6 beautiful custom paintings that they're sharing with us for the community. So stay tuned for that. And tonight I was supposed to introduce East Forest, but for some reason he hasn't showed up. We hope he's okay. So I'll just introduce Yaima, and I know they're in the chat somewhere because they said they would show up on the Zoom call. They are an amazing band from the West Coast, and their music is so connected to the medicine, and you might have heard from them on the Fantastic Fungi movie. And tonight we're again grateful. I keep saying the word grateful because I truly am like filled with gratefulness tonight They made a superb video that we're gonna listen to soon. And for those who are not familiar with Yaima, they have a superb balance of the masculine and feminine in music. And it's a very beautiful soundscape that they offer. And now I'll introduce Murray Kyle, and I'm really thrilled to have Murray Kyle on, because Murray Kyle was a big part of my healing path, and music is a big part of my healing path. And Murray Kyle was like one of the artists, like, you know, when I started to kind of look at myself and how I show up in the world, Murray Kyle's music was a big part of that, and really embodies like the creative and strong masculine. And his music is really connected to Pachamama energy as well. And so, Murray, I'd love to hear more from you, like where you're from and tell us a bit more about your story and your music.
Thank you. And to everyone who's tuning in and all the other amazing artists here and all the support crew, good morning from Australia. I'm here on Thursday morning. We're getting in a little early on you guys. Right now I'm in the forest of Birrell Creek, which is about 1 hour outside of the Byron Bay town. And yeah, we're here on a misty morning, feeling the inspiration of the earth and listening to the birds singing up the day. And yeah, great to be joining here with you.
Thank you, Murray. And from New York, we also have Ixchel Prisma and Jerry Walsh. I'm also thrilled to have them both. Ixchel's music is ethereal and very connected again to the medicine. And one of her songs called Full Spectrum Medicine is still one of my favorite medicine songs out there. Her first album is especially wonderful. So I'm really happy to have her. And Jerry Walsh, who's her husband, is also a really talented musician. From what I've gathered, plays a bunch of different instruments and plays often with Ixchel and Desert Dwellers and a lot of other talented musicians. So you guys want to give a little introduction and tell us a bit more about you and your music?
Sure, thank you. Hi, everyone. It's an honor to be here. Thank you for doing this work. It's so important, and we're grateful to participate in it. We're coming to you from our mountain home in the Catskills, where we've been kind of grounding out here for a good while and co-creating and envisioning kind of the next steps on the path and making music together.
Yeah, thank you for having us. It's great to be here, and it's always nice to share music for something connected to a larger cause than just something like entertainment. So that's really beautiful, and we appreciate that. Yeah, like Ixchel said, we're up here in New York, and we have community here. We live in community, so a big part of our work is just bringing people together and learning to live more sustainably with the earth and to work more with indigenous cultures and healing modalities. So we're an experiment of that right now in upstate New York. So we hope you guys can come visit us one day.
Thank you. Great intro. And next up on our panel is Little Whale, aka Lauren. I was first introduced to Lauren's music about 2 months ago only from our friends Chris and Lindsay, who are also on the show. And was immediately smitten by her music and the melodies that she plays and her beautiful soothing voice and also the words that she speaks in her songs. So it's a new introduction to me, but I love her music so far. Lauren, you want to give us a little more?
Sure. Hi, I want to say thank you so much for all this, all the coordinating to make this happen. And what a beautiful event and beautiful intention. And I'm so grateful to be here. I'm coming from Minneapolis, Minnesota, in the city. And I'm actually in my studio right now. This is where I record my music. So grateful to be here with you all. Thank you.
Thanks, Lauren. Beautiful studio, by the way. Looks great. And next up is the wonderful and beautiful Chris Rodman and Lindsay Thompson, who are dear friends of mine. And just like the nicest, most heart-centered people I know. And they have this beautiful son called Arthur, who's also a really good friend of my son, Noah. And they're just such a beautiful family. And recently in December, I got to finally hear them like sing together at an event, and it was just so beautiful. And I was like, you need to make an album ASAP and you need to make more music. And when this event came up, I was like, Chris and Lindsay need to be there because they just represent the divine feminine and masculine so well, and just have a lot to offer. So you guys want to give a little introduction as well?
Sure. Thank you, Pascal. Yeah, it is such an honor to be here, and yeah, inspiring on so many levels. I'm so grateful this is happening. Thank you for the vision. And we live in Nelson in the Kootenays, in a beautiful and rich medicine community. And yeah, at this point, I see myself in the path, or have been much of a medicine song carrier. And yeah, and the song I'm going to share is actually a song I learned from the first ceremony I was ever in. And I'm very excited and inspired by other artists here because I'm a budding artist, and Looper just came into my world, and I'm really inspired or grateful for your encouragement, Pascal, and inviting us into this event.
Yeah, echoing all the gratitude, and yeah, just a beautiful opportunity to support a facet of Pachamama that is just so dear to my heart. I'll be going to the jungle again in October for Dieta, and just beyond words in all of the ways in which my life has been influenced and inspired by the medicines of the jungle.
Right on. Thanks, Chris and Lindsay. And so now we'll get into a couple of questions, and it goes really well with what you were saying, Chris, about your relationship to the Amazon. And so I'd like to ask all of you, and we can do this popcorn style. What's your relationship to the Amazon or big forests in general? Like, why would you get involved in an event like this? I'll let you all speak up when you want to share something, but I'd love to hear from all of you. Someone will have to go first.
I can start. I'll go ahead. So I started my path and my training with just the work of the medicine path in the Amazon jungle with the Shipibo-Konibo. And I feel like for me, what the Amazon did is it opened me up to like remove such a deep level of disconnection and fear that I feel like sometimes in the Western world we're programmed with. I remember the first time I went to the Amazon to do my first dieta, I was terrified of like tarantulas and snakes and all these things that were in my head that would come out and get me in the night. And showed up there and was wearing like high rain boots and a bunch of different layers of gear and all this stuff. And I remember I think halfway through my dieta, I was walking around barefoot throughout the jungle and like seeing tarantulas and like petting them. And it dispelled so much and gave me such a respect for the intrinsic force of life that we are so deeply part of. It was like all of a sudden, I'm not separate from this. I'm a part of this, and I want to represent and play my role in this and give back to this. And that really connected me to, propelled me on a path of utilizing my gift of music to be a voice for the plants and for the animals there and for all of the spirits that we connect with in all of these realms. And I have so much respect for my teachers, Maestra Ines Sanchez and her daughters Laura and Lila and her son Jose, who I've been working with, and just amazing the technology that the people at the Amazon carry. And really powerful that it's coming out in such a huge public way right now. But I feel like there's also a huge responsibility that we have as assistants of facilitating that that spreading of that consciousness, to make sure that it's done in a respectful way and that there's a balance there. And that responsibility feels so huge, and so important to just raise awareness around how to properly carry these technologies and work with them. So yeah, I Amazon warrior here.
Cool. I'll just share a little bit too, since we're on our channel. My connection with the Amazon started when I was a little kid. I was just absolutely obsessed with anacondas and all the reptiles and creatures that are from down there. Somehow I managed to actually have a pet caiman, which is like a small crocodile that are found in the Amazon River, when I was a very young boy. I don't know why that was. I wouldn't necessarily encourage that at this stage in my life, but in retrospect, it kind of all pieced together in that regard. But I have friends down there. I haven't spent as much time as I would have liked to down there, but the people that I've met down there have been so amazing. I have a good friend down there who was a student of Pablo Amaringo, does a traditional ayahuasca art. My friend Alfredo, and just going down there and making connection with him and making connection with some of the other painters and learning about the community and how they serve the community down there and how they take the visionary realm and they're able to tie it into the art and then use that as a tool for helping the youth there. And then, a relationship opened up between our community here in New York and several of the painters down there, and able to bring them up here. And it's just been kind of a place, when I think of the Amazon, I think of people who are my friends, and I think of that connection to when I was a little kid and thinking about the animals that are down there. And then obviously the radical healing, transformative force of the medicines down there, and not just grandmother, but just all the things that are existing down there. And it just immediately feels like home and like a really special place, even though I have not been able to spend as much time as I would have liked to down there. And yeah, it has to be just one of the most beautiful places on earth.
Beautiful shares. Thank you so much. Really, really touching shares. Anyone else want to share?
Yeah, I could jump in here for a moment. Yeah, just echoing those sentiments that have been shared of the, the deep intelligence, the deep, the earth codes that are available in these immersions with deep nature, and the Amazon being the kind of archetypical, deepest, vast, most epic and diverse, rainforest system on the planet. And certainly, as we all have, experienced time in the deep jungle, time immersed in nature, where you can feel the field of diversity and feel the field of nature's frequency just moving in all directions. Like there's no interference, there's no road cut through, there's no electrical cable, there's no, those sort of experiences are so informing for us as life. It's like that level of intelligence that we can interact with I feel like is just like core to the life essence, and understanding the connectivity that on just a nature level moves between all of life. And certainly, having the blessing to go into immersions with the plants, the connectivity builds to a deeper level. And, so in our time, more than any other, this growing wave of learning how to really truly respect and honor and bring our protection and bring our love into these wild places that are left, as we know, so much has been removed on the skin of the earth. And so, yeah, all of the reforestation, the regeneration, and the protection of what remains in its ancient diversity is just more and more crucial in this time. And there's I'm here on Bundjalung country in northern New South Wales in Australia, and one of our elders who passed away a few years ago now. She shared something with us around a certain lake in this area, and the simple way of like when we come forward and we develop a love in our heart and develop a deep union and a deep respect for a place in nature, whether it's like a tree at the end of our street or a vast area of wildness and wilderness that's still intact. We essentially are becoming custodians for those places. You know, it may be that in those places the indigenous wisdoms, the indigenous fabric that has held custodianship there is no longer in place. So it's our time to also come forward, do all the little tiny things and all the vast and amazing things we can do to step forward in a custodianship role. Yeah.
Yes, a million times, Murray. Yes, absolutely. Well, good share. Thank you so much. Lauren, Chris, and Lindsay, who wants to go next?
Sure. Yeah, it's such a immense blessing to encounter these plants from the Amazon and the ancestral wisdom and codes that are carried through these plant frequencies and the people who reside in the forest. I'm thinking about here in the Midwest, this was also a forest, and they say that before all the trees were cut down, a squirrel could cross from coast to coast without touching the ground and just travel by the trees. And so I'm really excited for this movement of taking back the land or buying land and then protecting it and giving it to its rightful custodians, and having a few conversations here in the Midwest about a similar movement here in buying monocultured ag land and restoring it, rewilding it, reforesting it, and being custodians in that way.
Beautiful. I've seen a kind of recurring theme here between all of your answers about this new kind of emergence of a new vision of how to be on the planet. It definitely feels like the energy is definitely rising for that. I think in parallel or in contrast to climate change and biodiversity being reduced, there's also a lot of beautiful things happening in contrast to that are leading the way to a new way of interfacing with the earth and kinship, really non-extractive kind of ways. Chris and Lindsay, we speak about your trips to the Amazon sometimes, and I always feel so inspired by them. Like, what's your relationship to the Amazon on a personal level?
Well, more and more as I deepen into this work, what I begin to recognize, realize, remember is myself in all things. And so in that respect, the Amazon is a part of who I am and who we are. And so to be in the mode of protection of this birthing place is really honoring, our roots and having reverence for our origins, acknowledging the elements of the divine parentage, that marriage of masculine and feminine through which all creation has the opportunity to be created and born and unfold and flower and blossom and fruit and live and die over and over and over again endlessly. I first encountered the medicine in my last year of university in Vancouver with the Santo Daime, and that was enough inspiration and connection. I had been working, doing a number of Vipassana courses up to that point, which I think really facilitated my capacity to meet medicine in a good way. And good is a funny word, but anyhow, it was supportive. And so I found myself going to South America the next year and had this wild motorcycle adventure across the continent. And someone in Nelson, I'm so grateful, connected me to Diego Palma and the Second Valley tribe in Pisac, outside of Cusco in Peru. And I spent a month there and dove in pretty deep. And out of my eagerness and perhaps a little naivete, I said to Diego, do you take on apprentices? And he goes, well, can you sing? And do you play any instruments? And nada. And I wasn't quite, I hadn't put it together at that point. And over the course of the month, I was starting to see how, this medicine was orchestrated. And in the last ceremony that I sat, I had a fairly deep experience, let's say. There was some catharsis and lots of release and surrender. And the facilitator, Herman Virguez, who we may organize a retreat for in Mexico in November, I just put that on your radar, was holding some amazing space. And he started to sing this song. And all of a sudden, my voice just blossomed and opened up. And it was like I was just being shown this faculty, this gift, and that emerged, and the path continued to deepen and unfold, and that inspiration was cultivated and grown. And years later, I found myself going to the jungle. I think I know Alfredo as well through the work I've done with Jose Campos, and very interestingly, a similar experience, Ixchel, I had as well in my first time in the jungle, where, it felt like this wild place and all the little things are going to kill you. And my first night in the tumbo, there was this giant insect. I'm like, I can't sleep with that thing in here. And I went to take it out and came back in, and there was another one. And it was like, okay, surrender. And over the next few days, there was this experience of being accepted by the jungle and just integrating into it really seamlessly and recognizing it as this paradise of beauty and blessings. And so it's an act of self-love to be in the mode of service and protection and honoring. And the path continues to unfold, and the learning never ends. I think I'll close with that.
Beautiful, brother. Beautiful. And Lindsay, what's your relationship to the Amazon and forests in general? Because in the Kootenays, we have beautiful forests as well.
Yeah.
So we're really blessed to have a different type of forest, like less giant insects, but also very beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think of the Amazon as this wise old grandmother that is holding many gifts for humanity, and has been extremely generous, is extremely generous with those gifts. And I don't want to make shame or blame us. I feel like there's an imbalance and almost a deficit. And there's a lot of ways in which I feel like we can give back. And I feel, in honoring and in walking in beauty is our big ways that we can do that. Not just try and fix something, but celebrate and honor and really walk in beauty. And so I see this as an opportunity for sacred reciprocity and to share and celebrate many of the gifts, because I know in my journey I wouldn't have discovered so much beauty, especially with breath and voice and song, without meeting the medicines that come out of the Amazon. So, yeah.
I read a quote from a poet once that said something like, nature is God's way of telling us it's your turn to create something beautiful like this. So yeah, beauty is an important word that we often forget about appreciating and living beautifully as well. So thanks for sharing that. And now I have another question, which is, I feel like we could talk about this for a lifetime, probably, or 2 lifetimes, but how have plant medicines influenced and inspired your creative process in music? So we don't have 2 lifetimes, but we have like 20, 25 minutes to talk about it if anyone wants to go first. Like what has shifted in your music or your voice or your lyrics or the way you approach music and your practice with plant medicines?
Maybe I'll jump in there. You guys can hear me there? Great. Yeah, well, something that I guess touched upon in that earlier sharing of the, you know, the intelligence of the plants, the design that is available when we're in those expanded spaces, is so much information. You know, so much information is available there, and for me, one of the strongest things has been learning about frequency. You know, learning about harmonic resonance, learning about the way different sound waves can, you know, reflect off something or move through something. And so having a little insight into the visual representation of sound also helps us as sound people to translate that and to work with that just as any other modality. And you know, it's said that spiders also, you know, these beings of resonant frequency, you know, they create a web not by kind of standing back and looking at is everything in place, is there a symmetry there, but there's a feeling that it comes forward. There's a feeling when something lands in the web, there's a feeling. And I feel like similarly too with the audio realms, with the you know, the intricate design and geometry of our nasal cavities and our throats and, you know, our diaphragm and our chests, the instrument that we are has an opportunity to be uniquely played as well and uniquely sung by this beautiful living earth and all of life. And yeah, learning how to, you know, I feel like this analogy of the 2 wings always comes to me, where one wing is you know, someone sitting down and with a guitar and just practicing and muscle memory and building up the skill to in order to play this instrument. And what a beautiful thing in English that our verb for music is to play. We play music, we play with music. It's just so beautiful. And so, you know, we can take the time to sit with the drum and you know, listen to the way the birds loop in a certain rhythm and bring that into our music. And then the other wing of the bird is the wing that is you know, has strengthened itself to a certain place and then can just fly out of the way and get out of the way and allow this river of light, you know, allow this the frequency of the forest, the frequency of the water, you know, to sit by the water and to sing with the water and all of these beautiful ways of deep connectivity. So yeah, building our skill and then getting out of the way. And I guess circling back again here to what I've received, yeah, there's such a whispering and sometimes deafening voice of sound that is in nature. And so the recreating of that and the attuning to that, I would say, is there's a level of beauty there that the plants have certainly revealed and opened and continue to.
Beautiful. But you speak as well as how well you write songs, I think, Murray. Like you're, you know, when I listen to your music, there's a lot of elements that surface from the music and it's very connected to the earth and the wind, and like those elemental parts of the music really shine through. So first time meeting you now, I can see that you speak just like how you write music. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, just to finish up there, I guess just what came through. Yeah, music has been such a dear friend. You know, it's been a dear companion on this journey, and I feel certainly like the other musicians here very honored to be carrying it in my bundle and sharing it. Thank you.
Thanks, Murray. So how have plants medicines influence and inspire your creative process in music? Who wants to share next? Anyone's feeling called to it.
Can hop in. So yeah, to share how it's influenced my creative process in music. It's a funny thing because it's pretty much gave complete birth for me to music. I wasn't a musician until I came to ceremony, and when I came, I remember just being like enthralled by what I was experiencing and what I was hearing, and just something inside of me needed to come out and be expressed in that way. The first instrument I picked up was the didgeridoo, and just being like, oh, that would be the perfect sound to come through in this space with the the vibration and everything like that. And then over the years, learning to sing through the didgeridoo in ceremony, and then discovering just the power of the voice for moving energy, transforming emotion, and just basically providing a vehicle for traveling. And then discovering just the full capacity of what the voice has to offer through ceremony. And one of the most powerful teachings that the medicine ever provided me with was the power of spontaneity and not being fixed to something specific. So I was never a trained musician. I was never told you have to do things this way or that way. And the teacher that I work with gave me tremendous space to just kind of explore and experiment whatever direction the medicine wanted to guide me into. And it kind of gave way to something that was just extraordinarily unique and profoundly healing, not just for myself, but for other people. The freedom to make mistakes, to not be afraid of doing something totally avant-garde or out of time or something, this and that. I created like a energy field in the room that allowed for tremendous transformation to occur. And when you're in that type of consciousness, there's something that unfolds where hard to explain, but it's space opens up where before there was blockage. And for me, the process was really just about learning to trust intuition, to trust flow, to get out of one's own way, to not overthink things, to not be afraid of making mistakes, and to really just learn to feel really deeply what's happening in the room, what's happening in the space, and just step aside and let things unfold. And truly like a really amazing process, because starting to understand how the medicine provided really like a doorway for the voice, and how when I first came to it, it was like, oh, okay, when I'm in that deep space with the medicine, I can really sing. And then, but if I was in a more kind of how would I say, just kind of like in the beginning stages of whatever the experience was arising, not feeling as strong and as confident in the voice and what was there to offer. But then through just consistent practice of working with the medicine, finding that I could connect to that power of the voice and that strength and that creative spontaneity and that flow at any moment, inside or outside of ceremony. And discovering like how the teachers say that there's a moment where one just becomes the medicine, and really feeling how it provided a space for that transformation to occur. It acted as a teacher in that respect, for showing that like this capacity to heal, to be spontaneous, to be creative, to just trust yourself, to be foolish in whatever it is you're doing, and just let things open up. That's always there. You don't need anything. Just showing you, it's unlocking as a key in your mind to go, this is the possibility and potential to bring healing to yourself and to other people. And I have infinite gratitude to the spirit of the plants for showing me that, because it was never something that I felt I had within me prior to that. It was something that just opened up, like, whoa, I can do this all of a sudden. And yeah, I've only been singing now in ceremony for something along the lines of like 6 years, I think. And whenever I tell people that, they just look at me with their heads go sideways. So yeah, that's all I have to share.
Yeah, well, for me, I think the biggest way that the plants have influenced my music is that they have brought a much deeper purpose and level to why I'm doing what I'm doing. Unlike Jerry, I grew up training as a musician, and I grew up also as a performer. And so when I reached the point of entering into the medicine path and experiencing music in that way, through others, and also then as the medicine and the plants were singing through me, it was a very deep cleaning for me of my ego. Like I could immediately see right through myself of like, why am I singing this? Am I doing this for attention? Am I doing this because I think it sounds like this, or I want it to be like this? And that's a very special gift, because it stripped away a lot of self-judgment, a lot of evaluation, a lot of trying to fit into a certain thing, and brought instead a connection to the heart, and really, really considering deeply, who am I singing to? What am I singing for? And where is it coming from? And understanding that never is it coming from me, at least me alone, And I remember, experiencing one of the first times that I was able to use my voice with the plants, experiencing myself as this vessel and this open channel that all of a sudden is just like, I probably couldn't have stopped it if I tried, and feeling that complete lack of control, and how that shatters the ego and how that opens the heart, that really, was a very big turning point for me in my path. And I remember, like, in that moment in time, I was kind of going down a trajectory of like maybe becoming a performer, and maybe trying to become famous or do something, in that realm. And then just all of a sudden seeing it 360 or 180 go the other way, and just going into a place of complete prostration and humility, and saying, wow, this gift is not for me. This is not about me. I am a vessel for something bigger and deeper that's coming through me. And I feel like that was one of the biggest gifts that the plants have ever given me, is just to clean that part, that ego, and that identity too, and just understand that this is more of a mission. And in all of my plant dietas, I've had a really beautiful opportunity to receive directly from the plants the Icaros. And when we hear the word Icaros, we immediately think of that beautiful song that the Shipibo woman sang in the beginning, which are of course the traditional Icaros. But the way that my teacher passed it to me, she said, your Icaros are whatever songs that the plants give you, and they can come in any language, they can come in any melody, any style. And that's your transmission alone, and nobody else can carry those in the way that you do. And I remember receiving from her in one of my arcanas in the closing of my dietas, this energetic bundle. It was like a little locket that inside was just a pouch of songs that I remember just like unpacking them one by one, and all of these songs just came pouring through. This was with the dieta with the Chiriksanango, which is very much connecting to like that grid of light and the energetic system. And so most of the songs that are on my first and even second albums came in directly from the plants. Those are my Icaros. So Pascal, you mentioned the full spectrum medicine that came in a transmission in the middle of ceremony in about 8 minutes, like start to finish. It was all I could do to get it down fast enough. And, so that connection with understanding like that the poetry and the words that are already there for me, the concepts that are already there for me, that the plants open up a portal to be able to carry them in a way that is like, it's a true medicine bundle, and that they're not just songs anymore, that they're carrying a technology within them. There's codes in them that go beyond my comprehension for sure. I don't even understand. Sometimes when I listen, I'm like, wait a minute, like what? How did that get there? And what's happening? It's so mysterious what can come through. And it's very difficult to even explain. So I'm trying to do my best here. But I would say, for me, the plants, they open up a connection to the thread of a healing technology that is beyond our capacity alone. And so it creates this amazing alchemy and this alliance that weaves the human heart with the heart of the cosmos and the heart of the jungle and the heart of all of the elements. And all of a sudden that alchemy comes together, and you hear all those voices speaking at once through the music and through whatever thread that is. And it brings a depth that touches a different level. And I'm forever grateful and humbled by that, and really excited to continue to explore what that connection is. Aho.
Thank you, Ixchel. And I have like all the artists that I love listening to, like your music is, I just feel like it's really connected to those codes and messages. Like you can really feel that energy of the transmissions in them. And so, yeah, thank you for sharing it to the world. I really appreciate that. And Lauren, Chris, and Lindsay, do you want to share your side of things?
Yeah, so when I first encountered the plant medicines, I actually stopped sharing or making music for about 2 years, and just kind of had to pause. And I hadn't really explored my voice much before then. And then definitely over time with the grandmother medicine, it's so remarkably powerful at opening the channels and purifying the channels, opening, and I'd say through that work within the stillness and being in the silence, and then with the plants, that opens up this expansive awareness state. There's a refined, for me, like a sensitivity and kind of refined sense of just how powerful every frequency is. And so yeah, with the alliance of the plants, it's allowed just the voice to open and to be attuned in a way to the space, the spaciousness, and then lifting a frequency out of the silence, that space of silence. Yeah, and certainly my in terms of like songwriting and the creative process, it's definitely entered more the key of gratitude and reverence, in what feels like more harmonious with nature compared to before.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for sharing. Can't wait to hear more of your music coming up soon. And Chris and Lindsay, do you want to share more about your process? Like how has the music been influenced by plant medicines?
Yeah, I was terrified to sing before I met medicines. I remember lip syncing in choir when I was younger and really hoping the teacher wouldn't find out. And in the first ceremony I was ever in, it was in a teepee style ceremony where a rattle was passed person to person around the ceremony. And when I realized that this is what was happening and that I would be asked to sing a song, I wanted to leave the planet and go far away to another galaxy. And and that made me wonder, like maybe there's something there to look at. And so as I looked at that and opened, there was this floodgate that opened up in relating to song in a way of devotion and prayer. And yeah, I feel like since I've opened that up, it's just taken over in a whole new way and continues to open and bless and beautify my life. And just so I'm really grateful beyond words. As you said, Murray Kyle, that it's a part of my bundle, and in sharing that with others, and in honoring the plants. And yeah, I really feel that the plants and the trees, especially the earth, all of the Pachamama is so blessed and nourished by our songs. Yeah.
Thanks. I feel like I overflowed a little bit in my last piece on some of that creative process. One thing just that never ceases to amaze me is, witnessing that creative inspiration unfolding in others. It's so precious, and yeah, a beautiful thing to hold space for and to witness. And I also too, like Marie Kyle was mentioning the element of like the one wing of the skills and the chords, and I remember like trying to getting basic chords down, and then in the aftermath of a ceremony, I pick up the guitar and all of a sudden something's happening in the way that the play is unfolding and the voice is coming through, and it's like, I don't feel like I earned this or something. Like it just unfolds so beautifully, and there's a real kind of a catalyst. There's and yeah, an opening to just a natural flow in the song of life coming through. It's been spoken to in so many ways already. And, yeah, just continuing to be blessed and inspired and curious and learning and healing and growing. And the journey continues.
To be continued, as you often say, Chris. Not to be continued. And there's something very special to me about couples when they sing together. It's that the mirror of the relationship and the love that they have for each other reflects in the power of the music, I find. So I can't wait to hear you both sing. We have a Q&A question coming in from the community. We'll do it popcorn style. Maybe a couple of people can answer more if something inspiring comes up for any of you. But what is the significance of language and words in ceremonial music to you? Like what power do they have, like the words and the frequencies? What have you experienced maybe as well as musicians who express those things? Like what do those means in a ceremonial context?
Well, maybe I'll jump in here again. You know, when we're children, we learn spelling at school, and later on in life, we realize that our words and the way that we use language is also casting spells. And so, you know, you can hear it in, you know, you might read a message on a screen from someone, and you get a certain amount of information. But when you receive that transmission from the human spirit directly, you can, there's so much more information there. There's all these little nuances in the energy that moves through our voices. And so naturally and similarly, there we understand too that a song can be sung by, you know, 1,000 different people, and there is born 1,000 different versions of that song. You know, the words are the same, but the transmission and what we bring to it, and our unique spirit is singing in a unique song. And such beauty it is to then join with others and learn songs together and create harmonies and just strengthen that mudra. And you know, the mantras, the sacred syllables, and the languages of you know, the ancient root languages, the Sanskrit, you know, these beautiful mantras that we all love and know in this time, are such a blessing for us to carry the torch with. You know, they're such a blessing for us to interface and interact with. And you know, just as the beautiful abuela at the beginning there, you know, she's like encoding so much information through her being, through her voice. And you know, how amazing that we have the opportunity to interface with that. And yeah, so bringing my first language is English, but maybe my first language is sound and music, and then English is just the kind of almost like the carrier pigeon for it. So learning how to articulate, learning how to wrap our language in such a way that we can bring a voice to the sacred, that we can hear the whispers of nature and try and bring a translation from a tree into a song, you know, try and bring a translation from a river into a symphony. This is part of the beautiful, you know, bridging the heaven and the earth, bridging the silent into sound, that we have these beautiful voices and beautiful words to work with. Yeah.
Beautiful, Murphy. Thank you so much for sharing. Does anyone else want to talk about the significance of language and words in ceremonial music? It doesn't look like we do. So let's move on to music. We're here to listen to some music, play some music, feel some music. And as Murray was saying, which is really beautiful, like we're all going to be experiencing those songs in our own unique way. So our first piece tonight is from Yaima. And, you know, I must say, like, a huge thanks to Masaru and Pepper, who are part of Yaima, and also Tim, their agent, who went beyond the call of duty and created this beautiful video for us just for this event, that I had chills when I was listening to it. So Jason, like, please roll the video and let's enjoy Yaima's frequencies.